All right, welcome back. I am going to listen or ask for a minute for feedback and what you learned and what you practiced and all of that. But those breakout rooms are really pretty cool. They're not something we do all the time, but we do want to start doing them because in the midst of having a larger team call, we still want there to be community. We want you to get to know people. We want to give you a chance to talk and ask questions and like say things out loud. Sometimes it's just you learn more, right, when you speak it and you say it and you share it with somebody than just listening. So we want to offer that as much as possible, and this was a kind of a cool exercise to do it with. So Barbara, tell me more.
Okay, so I'm excited to read the chat, and I'll do that in a second. But what I got out of this experience, and it sounds similar to what our group had, is it's just awkward. You know, it's awkward to tell your story without the background, and especially without like what you didn't like about it, because that is really such a big connection point. It's awkward to say it, and it's awkward to hear it. You know, I heard a few stories in my group, and I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm glad you're able to get a new car. That's awesome. Good for you. So what happens a lot, and I'm guilty of this too, is we blast people with the solution. We just hit them up with the solution like all day long. This product will change your life. This business will change your life. But we're leaving out the most important part. You know, it's like where we're coming from and what we struggled with, what we didn't like, and how this product changed my life. You know what I mean? And when you can get people to listen to that and start to feel, you know, they can connect, they can relate with you, that's when they're going to open up and want to hear more about the solution. But if you're just blasting messages to people all day long with just the solution and how we're going to get you a $10,000 bonus, most people are going to be like, okay, yeah, good, you know, good for you. That's awesome. Right. You know, whatever. Because they don't know that number one and that number two, which is super, super important.
Absolutely. So this is what I would love for like homework for everybody is to write a Facebook post sharing your story. And remember your story really should be less than 2 minutes. And so you can find the highlights. It's like the main points. It doesn't have to be super duper detailed, but the main points of your background, what you didn't like, how you found a solution, and how you feel about the future. What I would suggest, and Barbara, you can like tell me what you learned in your training too. But I would suggest having like one story, but then also having a few posts, like one about the background, and then one about what you didn't like, and then one about the solution, and have a few different ways to share your story that maybe hit on different pieces of the puzzle. Because again, I totally agree. Pictures of me being on stage are not going to connect with people. And so that's not the stuff that I really, if I want to connect to the masses, want to be sharing. I want to be talking about the struggle of the job, the fact that when, you know, you get home from work, you've got an hour with your babies, like that bath time is so rushed that you're overwhelmed, and you know, or that I get to go bowling at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because we can, or, you know, those are the things that you want to be sharing is the struggle part. So write a Facebook post and write a few versions, but hit on all of these topics. Barbara, what would you add with that?
Yeah, I agree. And I've actually, in my like responding to people since I went to this, I try to really stick to this in this order. And there's you know, a whole other thing that, you know, we learned, which is probably for another Zoom, you know, in terms of the flow of talking with your prospects and stuff. But I have broken it up, and then I've asked a question. So I'll be like, you know, oh my gosh, my background's in customer service. I worked for Starbucks for, you know, whatever, 7 years, blah, blah, blah. You know, and then ask them a question, you know, depending on who they are, what I know about them. Like, have you ever felt that way or whatever? And then let them reply. And then I'll go into, I know exactly how you feel. I hated this, that too, blah, 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 blah. So I have done that. And I think as long as, you know, they're getting that number one and that number two, they're going to be more open to hear, okay, what's the solution, you know, and what is that like? And record yourself saying it, keep it, you know, on a note on your phone so you could easily copy and paste it with people. practice it with your kids, listen to it while you're in the car, say it while you're in the car. And I'll tell you, no matter how often you practice it, that first time you say it for real, you're going to be sweating and nervous and whatever, you'll mess up. But the more that you say it, it's going to get easier and you'll get better at it. And people will start to hear that confidence in your voice. And that's really when you're going to start, pulling people in and attracting people to what you're doing, because people tend to want to be like people that are confident, especially, when they can relate to them and they're relatable like that. So I love the exercise though.
Yeah. So someone said, will you recap the steps? All right. So 4 parts of sharing your story. We've got background, what you didn't like about it. Number 2. Number 3 is how you found a solution. And number 4 is how you feel about the future. And you can write it out so you can practice saying it, right, in your elevator speech. You can do a few different versions. You can have a few different what I didn't like about it, a few different struggle points. And then what we're suggesting is write a list and have them available. And because one of the things you'll notice is that not everybody sees your Facebook posts or your Instagram stories. You know what I mean? You'll feel like you're saying the same thing over and over and over again. And when it's a good message, you will. So you can say that struggle point or your story several times throughout the month. You can do the same post if you want, but you can also kind of reword it and rewrite it a little bit differently, so there's maybe a little different angle. But when you've got 5 different storylines, then I feel like you'll just hit different people and hit that connection point. But spend the upfront time to do it now, and then it creates posting and all of, Facebook really shouldn't be like, how do I feel at this exact moment? Let me just blurb it out. We do want to be intentional with what we share. And because we're only posting 6 to 8 times a day, it's got to be good. And so spend some time now writing out those stories and breaking it into those 4 different categories. Let's see. Oh, Beth has a great idea. If you feel really gutsy, do it live. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, people connect with people, and they're going to buy you because they like you and trust you and connect with you before they decide they want Define Gel.
Yep.
So I love that.
Yep. And remember to apply it to a product as well. Especially, if you're doing a live, talk about, how you felt before, what your stomach felt like, what, it looked like, how you felt in clothes, what your hair was like, whatever, it is, and you're going to share your testimonial. People will relate to that. You're going to have people watching that are like, my stomach feels like crap too. I feel that way too. I want to lose 10 pounds too, or I'm in a plateau also. All of that kind of stuff. Share that. It's so important. Then just you guys have to try this, Fat Fighters. It'll change everything. You can eat cheeseburgers, whatever. When you tell people kind of a little bit about how you were feeling and they can really relate to that, they're going to listen more because they want a solution as well. And if they are feeling the same problems or not liking the same thing, that's when you're going to end up really having that more engagement, and they're going to be more interested, and it's going to become more of a priority to them.
Did anyone else just get an aha moment? This isn't just about business. This is also about products. So again, when you are sharing your testimony, go through these 4 steps. Do you guys have any questions? Robin, I see you raised your hand. Feel free to unmute if you've got a question.
It was just more of an aha. Yeah. And I think that so many women, especially that come to this business after divorce, it's such a really hard thing, especially if you're a woman with a strong Christian heart, to say, I made a mistake, or even that you may have contributed to errors and things like that. But to be able to say, yeah, life's really hard, and sometimes we have to learn from some bumps in the road. It's okay to say, I went through a divorce and I was a single mom and had to pay bills for my kids, and that freedom of not having to worry about it, the solution, like that, what my life is going to look like, not worrying about bills is a really big piece that connects women's hearts, especially. So I just want to encourage anyone that's ashamed, like what Barbara was saying before, that maybe you're thinking that as a Christian woman, that because we are a community of faith as well, that gets shared a lot, that not to be ashamed of the big D word, because everybody makes mistakes. But the most important part is learning from them and moving forward. That's all.
That's an amazing reminder, because we all have things where we say our background, what we didn't like about it. You know, there may be a lot of different stories out there, but I mean, there's freedom in sharing, and there's freedom in using your experience to help others and bless others. And so I love what Robin's saying, is just like own it. And because you do, you're going to offer so much freedom to others.
Yeah.
Awesome point.
Thank you for letting me share, Denise.
Yes, big kudos to Barbara. Thank you for sharing with us on your wisdom. And we're going to definitely pull from your notes over the next few months.
Oh my gosh, I have so many notes. So yeah, for sure.
I'm excited. So I'm going to end with just a quote. And what you'll find in this business is it's truly just about creating new habits. Like what Barbara mentioned to us, sharing our story, a 30-second commercial, a blitz. It's all about creating those new thought tracks where it becomes easy. You know, I can do a party pad and like write my grocery list, because a party pad is so like ingrained in me that when they change it, I'm SOL, because I like know my party pad, right? So it's all about just creating this new habit. And at first it's going to feel weird because you're creating a new habit, but pretty soon it will become, I don't know what they say, soft like butter. I don't know, really easy. It's going to be really easy. So this is my quote for you, because this is what we are all doing in this business. It says, successful people are simply those with successful habits. So over the next 6 weeks, let's take some time. I say 6 weeks because I think it takes like 21 days to make a habit, and we want to go a little bit longer than that, to spend the next few days writing down your story, and then spend the next 6 weeks mastering it. So when someone says, what do? You've got a really clean answer. So thank you guys. Let's show Barbara some love on her Facebook today, and share your aha moments. I'm going to post this quote on my Facebook wall so you can share some aha moments there as well. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Same time, same place next week. Bye.